Hello and welcome back to The Wave of Things. This time I will discuss one of my favorite music related topics: unusual time signatures in popular music. The vast majority of popular songs are written in a 4/4 time signature and to a lesser extent in other even signatures like for example 8/8, 2/4 or 6/4. We are used to these rhythms as they are easygoing and such structures sound pleasant to our ears. One odd time signature is also quite widespread, the 3/4, as it is the typical waltz rhythm, which finds its application throughout popular music as well, and therefore is not considered unusual. Measures which do not fit the usual duple or triple categories are called complex or unusual signatures. Classical music and some traditional folk songs, like for example in Macedonia and Bulgaria, sometimes use complex measures, but in this episode I shall stay within the framework of popular music from the 50s till the 90s, else it will lead too far. One of the most notable musicians who specialized in complex time signatures was the jazz legend Dave Brubeck. In the late 50s and early 60s, he made the masses aware of the appeal of unusual measures, with successful songs like Take 5, written in 5/4, or Unsquare Dance in 7/4. In the 70s, the era of progressive rock, complex time signatures had a golden age with groups like Van der Graaf Generator, King Crimson, or Jethro Tull. Perhaps the most known song with an unusual measure is Money by Pink Floyd from the 1973 album The Dark Side of the Moon. It is written in 7/4. Genesis is another renowned prog rock band which is intriguing considering time signatures. Already under the leadership of Peter Gabriel, the band plays with rhythms, as showcased with the infamous Apocalypse in 9/8, a part of the musical-like track Supper's Ready of their 1972 album Foxtrot. After Gabriel's departure from Genesis in 1975, drummer Phil Collins takes on the role of the group's frontman. The song Dance on a Volcano of the album A Trick of a Tale from 1976 is one of the best examples for a 7/8 measure. In the meantime, Peter Gabriel starts working on his solo career. Gabriel surprises with his debut single Salisbury Hill from 1977, which in contrary to his complex avant-garde work with Genesis is quite accessible. However, the pop costume of the song is deceiving as it is almost entirely written in 7/8.
Climbing up on Salisbury Hill, I could see the city light. Stood still. Eagle flew out of the night.
Now, with Kate Bush, we have come full circle, as she had been discovered and supported by Pink Floyd's David Gilmour and will later become good friends with Peter Gabriel. Her first single, Wuthering Heights, in which the then 18-year-old sings about the Emily Bronte novel of the same name, is an outstanding piece, not as much because of complex time signatures, but rather due to an ingenious composition of the chorus. Most of new wave songs are written in 4/4, respectively 8/8. However, there are also some exceptions. Blondie's well-known disco hit Heart of Glass from 1979 breaks the rhythm in the interlude after the second chorus deliberately with a 7/8 measure. The song plays with the expectations of the dancer, who realizes at this point that something's amiss. Also, film soundtracks like to play with odd time signatures. A good example for a 5/4 measure is John Carpenter's main theme to the horror film Halloween. Here the time signature intends to make the listener feel uneasy. In the beginning of the 80s, Genesis have turned their back on their progressive rock roots in favor of a more accessible pop sound, indicated by a Phil Collins without beard. However, the experimentation seems to lie in their blood. The song Turn It On Again sounds simple, but it isn't, as it is written in 13/8.
All I need is a TV show that and the radio. Down on my luck again. Down on my luck again. I can show you.
Another famous representative for a 13/8 signature is Golden Brown by the Stranglers from 1982. It seems to follow a common waltz scheme, but in the intro and the interludes, an extra measure makes it 6/8 alternating with 7/8, in sum 13.
Golden brown texture like sun lays me down with my mind she runs.
Progressive rockers Rush are known for their experimental approach to music. In their 1982 single Subdivisions, the Canadians brilliantly combine 8/8 time signatures with 7/8.
Growing up, it all seems so one-sided. Opinions all provided, the future pre-decided. Detached and solid.
A very intriguing track in a complex time signature is the main theme to the 1984 film Terminator. It is written in 13/16, which is even among the unusual meters an unusual one. Industrial is next to jazz and progressive rock another very suitable genre for unusual time signatures. Therefore, last but not least, I would like to mention one song from the 90s, namely The Becoming by Nine Inch Nails. It is written in a 13/8 measure. The project around multi-instrumentalist Trent Reznor is known for their complex rhythms. So, these are some of my favorite songs which are written in rather unusual time signatures. There are many other bands worth mentioning in this regard, from progressive metal over post-rock to metalcore. Tool, Dream Theater, Porcupine Tree, Radiohead are just a few groups who are notorious for their experiments with rhythms. With a few exceptions like Nick the Stripper by The Birthday Party or Gun Fury by The Damned, unusual time signatures are rather uncommon in post-punk, goth rock or darkwave. If you are a musician in these kinds of music, perhaps I could inspire you to try something new and unusual. As always, thank you very much for watching. See you next time.